Good evening, back again with lesson 7.5, our last lesson that we will review in chapter 7, the metric, U.S. customary conversions, and temperature. Temperature's been looking very sketchy right now as we move from the fall to the winter. All right, so in this particular lesson, we also will note that we're going to be using the equal sign for conversions between 1 inches and 2 and 54 hundredths centimeters. So notice how we have our equal sign. All right. So that's where we use the equal sign. But we're going to use that approximate sign. So we're going to be doing approximately sign, symbol, squiggly equal sign, for conversions between our other conversions, as you can see. Like 1 ounce is approximately equal to 28 and 35 hundredths gram. 1 pound is approximately 45 hundredths kilograms, and so forth. So when we look at our length, our capacity, and our weight, keep that in mind. So we'll use this table, and again, it's in your ebook if you need further assistance with seeing this. All right, so again, we're back to our old faithful unit fractions or the metric conversion chart to convert each measurement. For now, we're going to use that chart. So recall writing the related conversion as a fraction. So if we're going from 60 feet to meters, all right, don't forget which. So we know this will be our denominator, because that's what we're going to eliminate. And this will be in our numerator. So let's go ahead and write that conversion. And we know that it's 1 feet is approximately, we have it right there. So 1 feet is approximately 30 meters, or excuse me, 30 hundredths of a meter. So keep that there. And let's set up our problem. 60 feet. And the unit we're getting rid of is feet. So let's put that in our denominator. And the unit that we are converting to would be our meters. So that goes in our numerator. Let's go ahead and eliminate those feet. And if you guessed it, we are multiplying. So 60 feet times our 30 hundredths. And again, I'm just using parentheses because we have a lot of raised dots and decimal points. So doing that conversion, and again, this is approximate, so I should have made that very clear. And that would be about 18 meters. So double check that. Use your calculator if needed. All right, let's do another. We have 12 liters to gallons. All right, so we have that 1 gallon is approximately 3 79 hundredths liters. All right, so think about what we're starting with and what we're eliminating. So this will be what's eliminated. So don't forget that goes in the denominator. So denominator and numerator. All right, so by now, lesson 5, you should be well versed in this, setting this unit fraction up. So 12 liters times, put the liter units in the denominator because that's what we're getting rid of. And whatever we are changing or converting to goes in your numerator. So 1 gallon. All right, let's eliminate those liters. Eliminate it, eliminate it. And if you guessed a division problem, you would be correct because we have 12 times 1, which is 12. And we have 3 79 hundredths in the denominator. So get your calculator out and approximately. All right, I keep making sure I need to make that symbol crystal clear. All right, so it's 3 16 hundredths. But again, if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, as Alex may tell you to do, remember, hey, look at your tests, your place value you're asked to round to. And look to the right, that's your test digit. If this digit is 5 or above, give that underlying number a shove. Boop. So it increased by 1. So we have 3 2/10. And you guessed it, we're going to gallons. So don't forget about those gallons. All right. Our approximate answer. Okay, so don't forget about those unit conversions and setting them up as a fraction. So let's go ahead and look at an ALEKS application. Okay, how you feeling? Hope you're feeling good. Okay, so let's take a look. It says a science fair poster is a rectangle, 48 inches long and 36 inches wide. What is the area of the poster in square feet? Be sure to include the unit in your answer. So we know that 1 feet is, all right, is this where we're using the equal sign or this where we are using the approximate sign? Okay, so we know it's equal. So 1 feet is equal to, if you said 12 inches, you're in great shape. All right, so let's look at our length. First and foremost, since they gave us that. All right, so we have 48 inches. And we're going to convert that to feet. So if you said to put inches in the denominator, you would be correct. All right, and that 1 feet or foot is going in our numerator. Okay, so because they're telling us the area of a poster, and they said the area of the poster is a rectangle, we know that the area of a rectangle is length times width. All right, so we studied that all the way back in chapter 4. So, doing the math, we have 48 times 1, and don't forget to eliminate your units. So that tells us we're left with feet. So 48 times 1 is 48. Excuse me. And we have 12 in the denominator. So 48 divided by 12, you said it, is 4 feet. All right. Moving on to our width. Excuse me. I think I need another sip of water here. You can tell I'm no YouTuber or any sort of influencer, just a math instructor trying to communicate some notes to my scholars here. So we have our width, which is 36 inches. All right, and because we are eliminating inches, let's go ahead and write that where are we writing it? You guessed it, in the denominator, so that would be 12 inches as well. And then we have our 1 feet or foot. All right, let's eliminate those inches. And multiplication, 36 times 1 is 36. And we have 12. All right, 36 divided by 12 is 3 feet. So now we have our new dimensions converted to feet. So back to our old faithful formula, we have length times width. So now let's substitute those values into our formula. We have our length is 4, our width is 3. Calculating, we have area is equal to 12. Don't forget those units. Feet squared. Area is always measured in square units. All right. So take a look at that. Get real friendly with ALEKS when you're looking at those application problems. All right. Moving on as we come up on our temperature. So we have our in degrees Fahrenheit and in our degrees Celsius. The boiling point of water in degrees Fahrenheit and in degrees Celsius. So again, looking at the procedure of how to convert between Fahrenheit and Celsius temperatures. They give us our handy formulas, so that's what we really need to be familiar with because all we are doing is simple substitutions. And again, I'm going to guide you through 2 examples. However, there's plenty more in ALEKS. All right, so again, to change a Fahrenheit temperature to Celsius, we'll substitute the Fahrenheit temperature into the formula, evaluate that expression, and round the answer to the nearest degree if necessary. And the same holds true for going from Celsius to Fahrenheit. All right, so you all know me by now. We're always going to start with those formulas. Those formulas, we're going to write them and rewrite them as many times as needed. So here in our first example, we want to convert to 22 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. So this is what we need And we're going from Celsius to Fahrenheit. All right, so since we know we're going to Fahrenheit, let's start with that formula. Okay, and the formula provided, we have 9 times Celsius divided by 5 plus 32. All right, and so don't forget about that 32, because we know that the freezing point of water is at 32 degrees Fahrenheit and at 0 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that's what we need that. All right, and if necessary, round your answer to the nearest tenth of the degree. All right, of a degree. So let's start with that formula again, making our substitution. So here we know that C is equal to 22 degrees. All right, let me do a little substitution. So I have 9 times 22. Everywhere I see C, I substitute in my 22, divided by 5 plus 32. All right, we are going to break it down very slow. Don't forget about your orders of operations. We need to multiply before we do any sort of division here. All right, so 9 times 22, 198, divided by 5 again, plus 32. Let's take care of that division. All right, so again, if you need your handy dandy calculator, which is okay in this case because the calculator does pop up for you. So what do we have? We have 198 divided by 5. All right, so what do we have? 39 and 6/10 plus 32. So doing the math. All right, so we have 71 and 6/10 degrees Fahrenheit. So 71 and 6/10 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't forget your units. All right, so look that over. And let's take a look at another example. This time we're going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So we're going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, starting with that formula. All right, Celsius is equal to 5 times the quantity of F minus 32 all over 9. So this tells us everywhere we see that 68 degrees Fahrenheit and that F, that's where we're making the substitution. So here we have F is equal to 68 degrees. All right, let's make a little substitution. And again, let's go ahead and start with our formula C. So we have 5 times the quantity of, hey, you guessed it, 68 minus 32 all over what number? 9. All right, doing a little math. All right, let's do that subtraction. 68 minus 32. You guessed it, 36. Still over 9. And again, I'm taking some steps here. But remember, we always want you to show your work no matter what. This is sufficient for showing your work. Keeping it neat, organized, everyone can follow along. All right, and this leaves us with 5 times 36, which is 180 divided by 9, which I hope you know that means degrees Celsius equal to 20 degrees Celsius. All right, don't forget your unit. Take your time. Have fun. Don't forget your units. Until next time, moving on to Chapter 8.